Hello, and welcome to But Are There Dragons, a podcast where two friends pick a book at least one of them hasn't read and talk about it.
I'm your host, Kritter.
And I'm your host, Jess. And welcome to Season 7, Episode 14, can you believe it, of But Are There Dragons, and we are blazing our way through Dungeon Crawler Carl, and we are here to talk about the second half of Book 7, This Inevitable Ruin. And we have with us a very good friend who is Robbie, aka Silvertooth. We have found him and adore him through our Wheel of Time connection, but he is also a big DCC fan, so we thought he'd be a great addition. Robbie, thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
Great, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So, as we've done for every other guest, I'm just going to ask you a few simple questions about how you got here and your relationship with DCC. And then we're going to get right into it because there's so much happened in this half. We got a lot to do. So, generally, Robbie, I like to ask folks, how were you introduced? How many times have you read it? And what is your preferred medium of consumption?
Perfect.
However you'd like to answer those.
So I was introduced basically through Brian the Gleeman in Discord channels, specifically the Lights Work Discord channel. We talk about books all the time in there. Brian was raving about this series. A bunch of us, gave it a shot, whatever. And I will say initially it didn't grab me right away. At least book one. Like as I got through it, okay, yes, this is good. And then the books got better and better to me. But either way, yeah, once it caught me, like I was hooked. I read them pretty quickly from there. How many times I read them? I have read the first 7 books twice.
Gotcha.
I read book 8 once. I have not reread book 8 yet. And then my preferred medium, I started it on Kindle, and then eventually decided that I prefer audiobook anyway. But I was kind of being cheap. It was on Kindle Unlimited, and I was just going that way. And then I broke down and got like book 5 or something on audiobook.
That's a good one.
I proceeded to go back and get all of them through audiobook. So that was my re-listen was all audiobook. But
amazing.
Yeah, because Jeff Hayes is incredible.
The best.
Soundbook theaters, like just in general, like the production of those audiobooks are phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yes.
And no spoilers, but there's a scene in book 8 that is just probably one of the best audiobook scenes I've ever listened to.
That's what I hear. Is it in chapter 57? Because that's the word on the street. Or, chapter 57 is the best chapter I've ever read. Blah, blah, blah. So we'll get there. We're so close.
Yeah. Like tonight. Like I probably won't go to bed. But anyways, I digress. We're both very much chomping at the bit to start book 8. And both of us, because we're good doobies, have waited until recording. And now we finally get to read book 8.
Yep.
But anyways, let's talk about the back half of this book because, Nelly, we had a lot of stuff happen.
Yeah.
So we had talked a little bit about in the last half, I think it was the last half where we had the AI as Growler Gary talking about his new girlfriend and her old boyfriend and that whole scene, I think is the safest word. And so I saw some threads of that come up here. We find out who the eulogist is, and I just didn't know, Kritter, because you and I both tend to read fast, and sometimes we catch different things. So did you catch any of that? There were some details about that as we started on the second half. I didn't know if you caught them.
Oh, gosh. It's the central systems AI. Okay, yes. I read it. Yes. So every time I do this, I read the passage. I read it twice. I read it right whenever I get to read it, right after we do a recording, and then I read it right before we do our recording for that particular passage. Definitely didn't catch it on the first time. Honestly, most of this book I must not have retained because the second time I read it, I was like, oh, I wonder how this is gonna pan out.
And honestly, same. Honestly, same. So you figure, I don't remember when it must have been between 6 months to a year ago that I read this book.
Yeah.
And I told Mr. Jessica, I don't know how many times, that it's like a Brit. I know that I loved it. I know that I devoured it. There's so much stuff that I'm like, oh, I don't remember. I didn't know that was going to happen.
Yeah,
so,
and it was a difference of a week for me. And I think it's the nature of this book, and that for me and you both, it's like so much of this book is just action, battle, action, battle, action, battle. And it is punctuated by plot development and like real emotional moments or whatever, but a lot of it is action, battle, and that stuff for me, I kind of just like, you know, I'm experiencing it, but I'm not internalizing it, and so it took me 2 times through to really.
And if they intersperse their lore in between their,
sometimes you miss it,
battle stuff, and I'm like, oh wait, that mattered, hold on. Robbie, did you enjoy it on reread? How long, do you have any idea how long between first and second read for this book?
I'm not positive. So I know I read the first 7 books, and then I couldn't tell you how long it was before book 8 came out that I was like, I'm gonna do a full reread. So I don't know the time frame of it, but I'll say even just, it was really awkward to read the second half of this book, which is what I ended up doing because I wanted to make sure I got all of the material before coming on. But even that being my third listen or read, whatever, of the second half of this book, it was the same thing. I was still like, oh yeah.
Happens, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I took a lot of notes this time, and who knows whether we'll use them all, but there are a lot of notes. So I wanted to kick off with Eulogist, because I know that last time we talked about it, we don't know who the Eulogist is, and we didn't know who we kind of figured out who the girlfriend was, but we didn't know who the old boyfriend was. So I just wanted to connect that dot as a throwback to, I think it was last episode.
Yeah.
And so we had a little bit of that beginning, and then we start off with a pretty serious fight in Club Vanquisher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we got more gods mucking up the works.
Lots of gods.
Lots of gods, lots of fun stuff. Turns out Prepotente was murdering a bunch of Nagas all over the place. So there's nowhere near as many Naga left as we feared. So there's that.
I have to say that Prepotente and Carl's interactions are some of my favorite parts of the book.
Mm-hmm.
I love you.
So, okay, we're going to go out of order because nobody should expect us to go in order. That happened in audiobook when Mr. Jessica and I were, I think, driving to his parents or something. And I stopped, and we had like a full-blown 20-minute conversation about how, as much as Prepotente really like grates on my nerves in a lot of ways, that scene just kind of brought it home for me how important Carl is for Prepotente's emotional well-being, and how isolated he must feel, and for him to attach to Carl so strongly shows a vacuum, right? An emotional vacuum that he needed to fill, and that even though it's awkward and funny and entertaining, at the same time, it's endearing and makes him better to have somebody to care about, because the alternative is he no longer has any connection. And with all the power that he carries, that's kind of terrifying.
Well, and I think you kind of see that with another character in this half of the book, is that Lina loses her brother and goes off the rails.
Yeah.
So Prepotente definitely had the like opportunity to go that same route. So
yeah. I mean, she's definitely very scary, but she hasn't done anything malicious yet, unless I'm forgetting.
No, but she's so inscrutable, right? So
I mean, yeah, she's a sociopath for sure. Like that's
what it's like. Before Lee June is gone, we see her go through that leveling up scene. And I had that in my notes. Like, we went through an entire portion of each book where Carl and Donut are talking about the grinding that they're doing to work up their levels. However, when Lina was doing it in the moment, it sounded completely novel and new. Like, holy smoke, she's got all these skills that she hasn't been able to work, and now she can. Which just to me struck me as kind of funny, because Carl and Donut did it every book leading up to this. The only reason this is different is because she's prioritizing what she needs, and didn't run it by Carl or anything, and continued to work on her skills, regardless of the fact that Carl was kind of objecting.
Like a little, yeah, he was freaked out by it, but I mean, I gotta respect it because like her doing that was part of the plan, right? She was gonna do her version of stop hitting yourself to get things worked up. So she was helping them the whole way. And I do have to circle back to Prepotente just because even though that scene was really like, aw, he really does like him. And it made me think like they'll figure it out with this, not the soul crystal. What's the crystal that he has that Carl needs?
The pedo.
Yeah.
The pedo crystal.
Whatever. Yeah. So I have a feeling like that feels like it's going to work out because they are in a good relationship with each other. But the thing that killed me was after Carl came back, after Carl came back from being like under or whatever. Did this happen this read? Prepotente's reaction to the fact that Carl had this whole big plan with the oh my gosh, the snakes. What, I cannot think of anything.
The Naga.
Yeah, he's like the paragraph long text that he sends him, like, I spit on your mother, whatever. It's not that, but like that's essentially what he was saying. It was in audiobook form especially, it was hysterical. Just especially because I listen to audiobooks on like 1.5 times speed, and Prepotente was getting faster and faster as it was going along in that extra fast speed. I don't know. It was delightful. I used to be more annoyed with Prepotente, but now he's just kind of a super fun addition.
Yeah. And he finally joins the Princess Posse, which is kind of wild, but it actually happens. I definitely spent quite a bit of time wondering if he was ever going to actually go through with it. So we get through the Club Vanquisher with god interactions and crazy stuff happening. And the big thing for that was it just flew right out of my head.
Okay, let me just interrupt because this thing, what a nightmare. Like, I'm going to go hide from the world in a room filled with bugs. Pass.
Never-ending bugs.
Never-ending bugs. Like, on food. It's a feast.
Yeah,
covered in bugs. No,
I struggled. I struggled reading that.
Like, are you anti-bug?
I'm not
strongly,
especially if they're on food. It's a real. It was a whole thing where I was like, okay, I'm done with that description. We can just move on.
Yeah,
Matt Dinniman is descriptive when it comes to things that are gross.
He finds ways to really get his point across.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what I was going to say now. So not to belittle the Club Vanquisher fight or the Naga fight, but we had so many more to go to. I think the big takeaway for me with the Naga fight was all the work that Prepotente had done leading up to it. And then ultimately it was a slug-a-low that kills the princess.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
We had a couple of ignoble deaths, and I think that this was great. The other one that comes to mind is Stalwart meets with an untimely end as well, and that was fantastic.
Remind me how he died. He just blew up.
Explosion.
Okay, I love that. Love that. Yeah.
So the little bit, to me at least, pretty good payoff in terms of some really hyped up adversaries and vanquished.
Oh, and not to mention the very, very end where there were a couple more, right? Because Rend took out the dog, right? So Mongo got
to protect Mongo.
Rend got the second dog, which was pretty. He just like shows like and then he just takes out half the dog, which is amazing.
Rend is a little disconcerting. Rend is a little weird.
It's a little upset, like just kind of extremely intimidating. And then Mongo just unceremoniously finishes off the guy who was inside Louis. So there were a lot of just like bye. Like, deuces.
Fantastic.
Yeah, which I appreciated.
Considering we had a lot of major adversaries that got the axe this book. So he killed them all off in interesting ways.
Yeah.
So Robbie, I'll go to you. Generally speaking, how do you feel about Samantha? She had some important stuff happen to her in this book, but I don't know that you and I have ever talked about it. So I'm curious. Some people seem to love her. Some people seem to hate her. What's your take on Samantha?
I love her as just kind of like a side character. You know what I mean? Like she provides comedy. I think obviously you're getting more and more depth to her as the series goes on. But even once you get that depth, she does something ridiculous and, talks about how she killed Embers's son. So, or
Exactly
was
right.
involved in it. So like, it's one of those, like, she has really funny moments. So I think it's a great addition, but like, she's not going to make like even the top 10 actual like favorite characters for me. But at the same time, like, I don't dislike her in any way. I love moments with her, but yeah.
Yeah, there's a whole host of characters for her to battle against. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, that moment specifically, and just Carl's exasperation in the moment, like, I cannot believe
you just said that out loud. Although she's perfect. Like, her and Juicebox both are raising some major question marks. Like,
so they're pretty OP.
Scavenger? Who is Juicebox? You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot. Like, Juicebox is going to be the world ender. Like, what? Like, what are we talking about here? I am intrigued by those two characters. And Samantha went from somebody that I was like, I hope, honestly, don't tell Hot Sauce Steve, but I was like, I hope she doesn't last very long because she's really kind of annoying. And now I'm at the point where she cracks me up. And like, she is kind of like she keeps a plot moving, right? She's the one who essentially summoned Embers. And then once she did it, she took one for the team and just let herself get yeeted over to him. And her running dialogue of how he was behaving with her, like, he's just crying. Like, all of it was just like killing me. I don't know. She would probably make my top 10 favorite characters in this. I don't know where she would fall. There's several above her.
I'd have to really think about it.
But I think she's in the.
Yeah. I've never done a top 10.
I don't. Right. Yeah.
I threw up.
Now I want to.
Now I want to. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, and I have all of that as well. And the other thing, I was reminded that she was a demigod. You know what I mean? Like, we all had kind of just taken it for granted. And I think that was partly intentional, that we kind of nothing Samantha, but we don't really know what's happening under the surface of that sex doll head, right? Because she does some pretty OP stuff. So we talk about, you mentioned her being summoned or chucked to see Embers. She also led Eurillo around, who is another god, and she held her own with Embers for 10 minutes to buy them time.
Yeah.
She is not insignificant.
Not at all. No, vital. Like, she's the one that got him through the door into the temple. Like, vital to the Naga plot. So, yeah.
So, yeah, she's a good time. I'm going to jump on the Juicebox bandwagon, though, because she's my next bullet, and you kind of brought it up. But Juicebox is going through some changes. And I, for one, really loved the reveal of her plans for the NPC team and how they were going to ensure their safety by copying as many gods and or those special guards as they could to protect their own, and thought that was pretty brilliant. And who knows how long she's been going on that, but for a character who was not self-aware at the beginning of the system series to now just all of a sudden and rightfully leading her people.
Yeah, and she's terrifying.
Pretty OP. Like, she's gearing up to be something else. So the way that her story at the end is that she's going to be, quote unquote, reborn from the nothing.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see what that means.
Yeah, what? I don't know. At the beginning of this book, I was kind of like put off by her because she was all over Louis, and I could tell that Louis was not into it, right? And it just felt like, oh, this feels so bad. And my official prediction was that because there was that delay between their initial wedding and their finalization of their, nuptials, I thought she's gonna die because, like, Matt Dinniman is not gonna make Louis marry somebody that he's not in love with, right? He's just not, and I didn't think he was gonna kill Louis either. In that way, I was right. But instead of it being this final moment for Juicebox, she instead turned into a wraith, was able to read Louis's mind, and respectfully backed off, which to me was like so much better of a resolution than being like, oh, the love interest just has to die, right? Because Juicebox is so fascinating, and now she's just only getting more fascinating.
Yeah, it was definitely more of a heartbreak to do it that way. And a little bit, it felt truer to what you would expect their motivations to be. So
unless it was really, like, you know, it's way less of a cop out. So
no plot armor, no, you know, well, obviously now he's gonna die. You know, none of that. Something, he handled it in a different way. So that was great. So then we go, let's talk about Kritter's favorite character, Donut, going full sniper in a tower.
How many times do I have to tell you that Carl's my favorite character? Are you just like jabbing me at this point?
I'm totally jabbing you.
But don't get me wrong, like, while Carl is my favorite character, I am Donut. So like, I get, you know, like I see where that can be confusing.
So Donut in a sniper tower was everything. I don't know, agree or disagree, but that's how I felt. Like, I know why Carl put her up there for himself, but she was incredible up there, and she had to make some really, really hard calls.
That, and like Carl's like constant, is she safe? Is she safe? Is she safe? You know, like constantly worrying about her, and like her just kind of being like, you know, I've got this. Do your job. Mm-hmm. You know, was just kind of like the growth of that. You know, of eventually, you know, in the end, she's stronger than him by the end of the book. So it's just one of those, like, or this book anyway. So it's interesting. Like, yes, everything she did was really cool, but I thought that part of it was just really interesting. Like, you know, everybody telling Carl to do, you know, hey, focus on yourself, stop worrying about us. But like, especially with Donut. So
yeah.
Another thing that I liked about this part, like feels like a strong word, but again, Dinniman really delivers, in my opinion, because he, you know, tongue-in-cheek calls them atrocities, 1 atrocity, 2 atrocity, 3 atrocity, but then goes into detail and lets us really see that really affects her in a way that is relatable, because you would hope that any creature with any kind of sense of morality, morality feels like the wrong word, but any creature with a sense of self and sentience would feel bad about what happened with that last atrocity, if nothing else. And we see her experience that.
I have to chime in just to once again toot the horn of Matt Dinniman and Jeff Hayes, because as the resident gamer between the two of us, the way that they did the Princess Donut has committed, or Warlord Donut has committed an atrocity, it reminded me so much of, like, I'm sure more games than this, but like in League of Legends or Dota, these, like, one of the MMORPGs, what are they called? I can't remember what they call. They're like, basically it's like 5-on-5, where there's 5 heroes versus 5 heroes. You're going down lanes and you're all different. You all have different, like, magical abilities, whatever. It doesn't matter. What you're trying to do is take the other person's base, and in the process, you're trying to level up and kill the other team, players of the other team. And so if you get multiple kills, the AI in League of Legends will be like, double kill-tacular, and then eventually, I think if you get 5 kills, it's like godlike. And it just, like, that just in the audiobook, it just reminded me of, took me way back to college when I was playing League of Legends, and hearing that, like, in my ear. So it was
the only frame of reference I have is Mortal Kombat. Finish him.
Right. There you go. Finish it.
Literally the only one I know.
That's fair. Yeah, it definitely reminded me of League of Legends or Dota, or what, I think it's League of Legends, but I loved Donut in the Tower, and the way things just kept getting crazier. You know, the ball of swine, but like the ball of people and gods. Are you kidding me? It's like every time something came up and they were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is an impossible situation. Donut's like, actually, like, brilliantly comes up with something and just handles it. She just handles it. She makes it happen. Like, absolute like legend this time. I don't know that. Yeah, she impressed the hell out of me. So.
She had the fallout, right? Like we got to see her question her choices.
Yes.
I also love, this is a real throwaway thing, but I also love the unspoken agreement that nobody's ever going to tell her they remember anything from being in the ball.
But the way she was like, so concerned, she's like, "Are you sure?" I just felt like, oh, she's so.
And just the fact that they knew that they couldn't tell her, the fact that they all just implicitly agreed to, nope, she doesn't need to know anything.
Yeah.
So that was crazy. And we see Lucia Mar come back, and Lucia Mar's reveal is one of the very specific moments in this reread where I looked at my husband and said, I don't remember any of this.
It just happens in the middle of the action all of a sudden, right? And it's so brief.
So I remember Lucia Mar showing up, and I kind of remembered how Carl was going to deal with her in the moment as it was happening, which is so on brand for me. But then the connection to the children, I did remember her connection to the children. I did not remember that it was all of the remaining children of Earth. So I really don't know how my brain
it's not all of them. It's not all of them. It's all of them that tried to go into the dungeon, which is like 200,000 or something.
120,000.
120,000. Right. So it's like, it's the ones that try to go into the dungeon. So technically there are others that didn't try to go into the dungeon that remained on the surface. But it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah. It's a lot more than I realized, because I thought it was like a dozen kids.
Oh, well, that's the way they made it seem last book. Like, she's got some kids in there, not hashtag all kids, you know?
Right. And
so
just like the reveal that, Carl basically almost killed them all. Like,
yeah.
Throw back to book 1. There sure were a lot of kids in there.
Carl's almost offed a lot of people a couple of times in the last couple of books.
Well, yeah.
And it's hard with Lucia Mar, because we had talked about it previously in previous episodes, where pretty sure that Carl had come to terms with the fact that, she's a danger to all of the remaining crawlers. And so she's just got to go. So I feel like he had really gotten right with, he was going to do it.
Yeah. But I maintain Carl's not going to get a player killer skull. That's my, I've had that prediction since the beginning.
Yeah. Right? Like,
I don't know. It feels like it's not a Carl thing. That feels like him. He's just not gonna. That's what I think.
Yeah. So then I've got, Stalwart just explodes, which is amazing. We have Lee Jun dies protecting Donut, which is terrible.
Protecting Donut, but like I worry that Lee Na's gonna blame Donut when like Lee Jun didn't do it to protect Donut. He did it to protect everyone that Donut was protecting, right? Well, Donut plus, basically. There were like a ton of people that were relying on Donut's protection, and that's what he did. So I'm worried that Lee Na is gonna be a problem in the future, blaming Carl and Donut. Because she also made a comment like something about Carl's chaos or something later towards the end of the book, and I was just like, okay, but most of this stuff is like Carl's plan, and it's saving a lot of people. So maybe we should give him a little more credit and make it sound like less of a bad thing. I don't know. So it's complicated, sad, but complicated.
Yeah, and I do feel like Lena is the only character that we've never really gotten a read on how she feels about Carl. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's always, they've maintained distance between those characters. And I feel like that distance is really evident in the space after Lee Jun's death.
Well, even at when was it? The Iron Tangle? Sometime. So like Carl saves Lee Jun, Lena, and the third one.
Zhang,
yeah. He saves him, I think it was in book 1, whenever he goes on that show. And right, like he helps them. And so like if I were Na, even if I didn't love Carl, I'd have this like, oh, I owe him. But then they met in person during the Iron Tangle, I think it was. And I remember Carl's inner dialogue being like, it's a good thing we're not on the same team because she's got strong opinions, right? And it's kind of like, we both have strong opinions. We might butt heads a little bit. And that's kind of the foundation of like, Carl saved her. They don't necessarily get along great. And here we are now, after all of that. And the history is just complex.
And I think it's good as a foil to everybody else. For the most part, seems to fall into line to Carl's plan and Carl's leadership. And, you know, I wouldn't say that they fawn over him by any means, but everybody else is kind of, you know, pulling in the same direction. And they've always kind of maintained some distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the other characters recognize that, you know, Carl's gotten them through a lot of this, especially as a group, right? Like, there's no way without Carl's plans that as many of them survive as do. But yeah, I don't think that Lee Na sees it that way.
Yeah, and I think that over the last couple of books specifically, it's just gotten that much. So we definitely saw in the first few books commentary about how they were being edited on the show. So when they were watching the recap, what their perceptions were of each other,
right?
And the prevailing perception of Carl as being a loose cannon maniac. But over the last couple of floors especially, he's really ramped up the efforts to save as many crawlers as possible and the NPCs, and left with that, in the face of all that evidence, the rest of the crawlers are now getting like, this isn't a show, this isn't a ploy, like this guy is really walking the walk and trying to save as many of us as possible.
Yeah.
So we talked about the appearance of Lucia Mar and then getting yoinked, right, to go stand in front of the faction council, which is a little inconvenient. But then we have, right after that, so we have the emergence of the War Mage faction, and all of a sudden, Agatha is co-warlord with the War Mages.
That was so random. I guess the only reason it showed, like, in my mind, like, the only reason that happened is because they wanted to raise the stakes even higher. Because the action items that they proposed. And I guess maybe put more of a spotlight on Agatha. But to me, that felt like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. Like, why do we also have these war mages just like show up just for a second, kind of? Like, it was so random.
Yeah, even on a reread, I felt that way, to be honest.
Yeah, okay.
Because I'm like, we already have an NPC team. Although, for me at least, I was like, it did at least raise the question of, if we have NPCs that don't want to be part of Team Retribution, which this faction does not appear to want to be, what does that mean? Especially once they up the ante, and now if your team doesn't win, everybody on your team dies.
Yeah.
Well, and clearly they had their own motivations. They leave early, you know, whatever else. But and I would say that's probably set up right, but like, it's still, in the moment, it feels like, but why?
At this point, why? Yeah.
And Agatha, of all creatures, actively participating in faction war, like actively getting on an NPC team, to what end? So with what we learned about the Eulogist and Agatha, I'm still not clear on what Agatha's motives are, right? Like,
to the end of everything, apparently.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just, it was a weird little sequitur in there.
Yeah. And everyone kept wondering how she got to be co-warlord. And in my mind, it was like, well, it's because she's the AI's girlfriend. That's the only explanation. Yeah.
Wild. So then we go into some more fun stuff. So we have Epitome Tag and a dragon.
Yeah. So there was a dragon. Hey!
It was, in fact, a dragon. Yay!
I mean,
we love that when it happens.
There already was one this book, but I love multiple.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Any dragon. Yeah. Any amount. Yeah.
So, and we see Carl voluntarily give up the Ring of Suffering. And I know, Kritter, that we had talked about this ring last book and how we thought that it was coloring his reactions. And were you surprised that he voluntarily let it go?
I think it really helped that Lee Na had one. And he could see, like, he didn't have to look internally. He didn't have to, consider what it was doing to himself. He could see what it was doing to somebody else. And at that point, it became clear that it was indeed a problem. So I was not surprised after Lee Na got the ring and went ham with it that he ended up making the decision that he made. Because leveling, as for Carl, has become not the most important thing. It's right. The people around him that are the most important thing.
And I think there was the setup for it. I mean, obviously Donut's been like pleading with him to get rid of it. So throw the Lena on top of it. I think it made sense.
Yeah, it was time.
Right. It was good to see him do that because we do love Carl and we want him to do things that don't turn him shadier.
Yeah.
So we're going to pivot to Donut for just a second. We see Katya. So the fit has hit the shan because Samantha said she was part of Garen's death, right? And Ember shows up, and then all of a sudden we're dealing with a 66-minute clock that nobody expected. And one of the first things Carl does is start shouting at Katya, we need to hurry up, we need to get you started, because it's an hour of stasis, or however you choose to frame it. And so nobody really gets to say goodbye to Katya because it's so fast in that moment. But then we get through that hour and we see the god take possession of Katya, or the gods show up, and we finally see Donut's laundry day spell do something impressive.
I loved this. Silvertooth, how did you feel about it?
Oh, it was perfect. Like, it one of those things that needed to happen, and the setup was great for it. And then Mordecai coming in to just be like, this bolt was made with the ashes of my mother. Like, she gets to be part of avenging her son. Like, perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and spoilers this because we're talking about it, but this is my choice for the best mob or whatever. This is the best fight for me. It was the most satisfying. Awesome. Yeah, because we had it wasn't the beginning of this book, was it? Was it the beginning of the last book? Whenever we found out what happened with the Mordecai's crew.
Beginning of last book.
That sounds right. So yeah, we like Wan Jing Jinx has been in my sights, right? We want to like what's going to happen with her. She hates oh my gosh, Audette, right? So she's a threat to Audette. Mordecai hates her. She's trying to manipulate Katya. All of this stuff has me hating her. And so Donut getting to just absolutely wreck her and then do the intimidation thing on her and the description of her just slinking around doing this monologue. Stop it. It was so just unbelievably satisfying. I loved this part.
Absolutely. Yeah. When she was like, there's somebody here that wants to see you. I'm like, oh God, perfection.
Oh yes. That's perfection. Yeah.
I'm going to kick it to you, Rob. So as we get through that, we see that what choice Katya makes. And I'm just curious, what did you think she was going to choose? And if this wasn't what you thought she would choose, how did you feel about it?
I don't remember on my first read what my thoughts were, to be honest with you. I think on a reread, it seemed pretty obvious to me because she alludes to, this is my decision. When her and Carl are talking about it, she alludes to, with everything we know now, how could I choose something different? So it seems obvious, at least on a reread, but I don't remember what my initial thoughts were on the first read.
That's fair. I don't either. However, on reread, I didn't remember which one she picked. So it was like it was a new decision.
I will say that it was an incorrect prediction, but earlier, or many books ago, I predicted that Katya had gotten pregnant by Batista. And so this does feel like ultimately what was going to happen. It felt like exactly, we're not going to be able to follow Katya during the ascendancy wars on, like, but there are children on the surface, and that just felt like such a natural thing for her to be doing. Can we take a second also to talk about finally getting the full story of Katya's flashback? because
Absolutely.
that is the closest I have come in Dungeon Crawler Carl to crying. I have not yet. I still haven't done it, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but that was close. It was really, really close when she was talking about how it was like her favorite memory, because in that moment the baby knew that she loved her and stuff. Like, stop. It was beautiful.
Yep. No shame in my game. I absolutely cried.
Yeah,
but I've cried half a dozen times already, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, I had forgotten that she chose pregnancy. I had forgotten about the linkage to the children, and that absolutely resonated. And I had forgotten that it was Louis that she ultimately picked.
And why can it not be Carl?
Because
he's not human. Human. Okay, that was bothering me. So now that makes sense. Okay.
Yep. So we're getting there. We're down to some of the last conflicts. So we've gotten through that, and we've gotten through Katya's choice. We've gotten through Huan Jinx getting killed, and Justice Light gets the Gate of the Feral Gods, and he's going to play their swan song off. We've got Sledgy, who casts Zuzura, which will get the other team Retribution and any other NPCs in Shantytown and Laracos up to the next level. And they do it. The Princess Posse officially wins the faction wars, which is amazing. We see Lena max out her stats, and we see Donut take the lead as the highest level crawler in the history of the crawl. Pretty insane. And yeah, I think that was a hell of a way to end the floor. We talked about your favorite fight. Are there any other high level moments that you really love that I forgot? Because we know I forget them.
So the Huan Jinx fight was my favorite just because it was ungodly satisfying. But I think my second favorite, just for how brutal it was, how atrocious it was the cat's paw. That was so easy to visualize, which I hate, but a giant ball of people, a giant cat's paw, and some spider web wire, just
Yeah, as soon as the links started going across, I was like, oh no.
I was not ready. I did not know what was happening. And then it happened, and I was just like, oh my God. Yeah.
I had this really horrific premonition of, are you making chicken salad? Which is really gross to say, but that's what that was what my really whacked out brain went, oh my God, no. And as soon as they said cat's paw, I'm like, thwack, thwack, thwack.
I didn't pick. Yeah, I just pictured them hitting the ball. I did not picture the wire. Nope. Yep. That was crazy. That was wild.
It was something else.
We did not talk about Mongo's babies.
Kiki gave birth.
Kiwi. Yeah.
Kiki. Kiki gave birth to 2 darling specimens.
Legendary creatures that are too smart to be pets. So that's interesting.
I'm interested to see where that goes, if it goes anywhere. You would think there'd have to be a payoff to it, but
there's got to be. Yeah. He does a really good job giving lots of characters really satisfying moments. I mean, think about the Rend and Mongo victories in this one. There's gotta be something.
I think Ren's awkward laugh is my most favorite disturbing sound.
So I put in my notes, I made a throwaway scene, right? Basically, I don't even remember. I want to say it's when the castle blows up from all the dog explosions. Either way, Carl is just laying on the ground. It might have been a different moment than that, but either way, Carl's laying on the ground, basically prone and on his side, And then Ren just like lays next to him and giggles. Like,
you know, he's so
one
cute.
of those, like, I was laughing because it's like, this is, I don't know. I could just picture it and it was funny. An audiobook is even better.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that TikTok trend of when you're doing a task that requires 0 dogs, but you have a dog. And it's that energy.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Ren. That's another one that I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna last, right? Because like, how do you add another? It's like it's the thing that Donut said, where it's like you add a character late in the game, like in Gilmore Girls. Whenever you add, I can't remember her name even, but exactly the point.
Lorelai? Was it Lorelai?
No. It's the girl from college that gets, she becomes.
You literally said the only Gilmore Girl name I know.
Oh,
the funny thing is, my wife and daughter were watching Gilmore Girls earlier today, but I have not watched enough of it to know any characters other than the main ones.
Well, the person that Donut mentioned is somebody who gets introduced late in the series and becomes like kind of a main character late in the series. And so that's the same thing where she's like, you can't do that. And I think she was saying that about Rend maybe. And so now I'm like, that was kind of my expectation. Like, oh yeah, this is not going to last long. He's a meatball. Like, come on. And then
that was my thing. How do you give a meatball dimension?
Yeah, but now he's just this cute little puppy, honestly. And I'm not mad about it. He's just, I'm into him.
So, yeah, you mentioned the castle blowing up. We skipped the exploding dogs. We skipped the lava flow and the dwarves setting them off. We skipped a lot of stuff. Robbie,
do you like action?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely a trend of the stuff that I skip over.
Yeah.
Robbie, did you have other things in your note that you wanted to touch on or that we didn't talk about?
Not particularly. I think I liked the moments with Milk.
Yeah.
The first one when Carl first meets Milk, if you will. I love that moment just because he's like, he just went through this traumatic thing, and seeing somebody from the cookbook that he didn't expect to see, was like kind of like they hug and like, I liked that moment. And then I liked the moment at the end when Milk they finally use the Book of Voodoo correctly.
The book, yes.
Like everybody's like, thanking Carl and Donut. So I like those moments, but no, I think we pretty much touched on the main event.
Yes, so that's a great callback. So yeah, Milk, when he met Milk, I cried again. So whatever. But then when we did the cookbook, I was like, it was an incredibly touching scene, but it's also now it's an incredible weapon, right? Like, who knows what went into that bag of goodies? And it gives me hope because it really makes me feel like, without any context on how other seasons went or other crawls went, it feels like Carl and their team have a lot of stuff in their toolbox to potentially help them actually survive all this.
And the whole time the AI being like, I can't give you any more hints about this. Like,
but someday you'll use the book the right way.
Use this the right
way. So then we go into the epilogue where we have Porthos on behalf of the Open Pacifist Network essentially declaring war on the Syndicate, which is awesome because earlier we saw an interlude where we get confirmation with the conversation between Rosetta and Baroness Victory that money was used to obtain ships to get everybody's family that was related to crawlers that came back and stuff away so that they could be safe, so that they could in fact declare war, which is crazy, but also gives a lot of hope.
Yeah.
And then the last part of the epilogue is pretty wild because we meet up with Quasar. We hear the ridiculously subpar offers that they make Carl, but then we get one more throwback, which is that Donut has a new lawyer, and it also happens to be Carl's wife.
Also, what? What?
Yes. And that is the fifth and final big reveal in this book that I had no memory of whatsoever.
I missed it the first time a week ago. Caught it this time, though.
Yeah.
So because I've read book 8, I think it's not something I could have forgotten, I guess is the way to put that. So
I'm sure it comes up.
But the initial was like, what? Like, how? Where did this go? Like, yeah.
Doesn't he have to consent? Like, number one? I don't know.
He's a crawler, does he? Like,
I guess,
does he have autonomy? Does he have rights?
But then part of me is like, okay, what other situation do we know of where it reminded me of the fact that Carl probably has pending litigation outside the dungeon, and that Audette had pending litigation outside the dungeon, and the way that she got out of it was she married somebody who bought her contract, right? So I'm like, is that related to what's going on? Like, what is happening? Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't wait. But again, we're going to roll right into book 8, so that's very satisfying. Super excited to see how that comes out, but it was a great cliffhanger for the end of the epilogue. Yeah. So Kritter, we got your favorite mob / fight. Robbie, do you have a favorite mob or fight from this half?
I don't think mob. I guess fight would probably be the same that you chose. There was so much chaos, and like there's so much fighting. I did love Gustavo 3 being taken out.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I would probably put that would probably be my top.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a full circle girl. I really love that Stalwart was killed in such a offhand way. So I know that it wasn't as satisfying as seeing some of like the retribution moments that are happening with getting even with Wan Xin or whatever, but I'm just so happy that Stalwart is gone.
Yeah.
I think that's my favorite. My favorite mob, though, because it was the worst mob, my favorite mob is often what I feel like is the worst mob. Kefri, the bug god, because it made my skin crawl.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
That whole, like, I will say that we didn't talk about that scene a ton, but like, Carl dropping a bomb at his feet, and like, just like we talked about the trauma he goes through, but I mean,
yeah,
just like that scene was wild.
Yeah.
And everything come down to like 20 seconds of immortality, and the whole, they definitely, Dinniman did a great job drilling in, like, you won't die, but you will feel every single bit of it.
Also,
I love.
Oh, go ahead.
Just the achievement he ends up getting, and the AI being like, holy crap. People have done some crazy stuff in this dungeon before, but like, you dropped a bomb at your feet.
The little Gunter run spell is just so silly. And whenever he was awarded it, I was like, what application does this possibly have? And you know what? I guess if you're invulnerable, anything's possible. Anything.
In a room that never ends.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we went through favorite moments, favorite mobs. So that brings us to the part of the show where we close it down and we talk about who our favorite runner-up and MVP are for this half. And then we will announce who is the overall favorite MVP and runner-up for the whole book. Robbie, you're the guest. Would you like to go first on runner-up, or would you like Kritter to go first?
Kritter can go first.
Okay,
I'm going to surprise everyone with this. Okay. My runner-up is Lena, because she was absolutely vital, not only to the Naga plot with her, whatever they're called, not terrors, her dreads, with her dreads, right? Yeah, that was a vital part of the plan, and she used that as an opportunity to power level. You got to respect the hustle, or at least I respect the hustle. And then she also was instrumental to finishing off a couple of the other factions, right? She did the chains that Donut she did the finisher, right? And so she was just insanely impressive. And she's scary, but I kind of appreciate the way that she's handling herself. I'm nervous for next book, and I might end up hating her. But for now, I gotta give credit where credit's due. I respect the hustle.
for a stoic, already hard to read character, and now you introduce the Ring of Suffering into the mix.
It's intense.
Yeah.
But she was doing the most this
She absolutely was. She was a terror.
Yeah.
Robbie?
So I feel like the obvious choice for MVP.
Nope.
I know.
Okay.
I'm prefacing it because I'm not going to choose them as my MVP or runner-up, just because I feel like, to me, the obvious one is Donut. So I'm gonna go for my runner-up as Justice Light.
Okay.
Because I loved the plan, like the full plan, and then he just, all the dimensions coming together and like releasing the nothing into different places. Like it's crazy, and I loved how like it just, he planned it the whole time, and like it came to fruition. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
Very much. Thanks. So for me, for runner-up, I had a couple of options. It happens to me a lot. I ultimately went with Samantha for a lot of the reasons that I already said in this episode. I feel like a lot of times I sleep on Samantha and what she's doing, to your point, to propel the story, but also she takes a licking and just keeps on ticking. She went to find Louis. She's going with Carl to do this and that. She gets yeeted and keeps Cerberus busy. Embrys, and kept the other guard, Yarilo, busy. And she kind of does a lot, and we kind of take it for granted in the background. But her being able to do those and to go toe to toe with these gods, to delay, gives them the time they need to do those things. So I'm giving it up for Samantha this half.
Good choice.
Okay, so we will shoot it back to Kritter for this half. Who is your MVP?
So this is the fact that Carl is not going to be my runner-up or MVP is a big departure for me, but you are right, Robbie, that it's Donut. This cat just did everything. She went through inevitable emotional turmoil to absolutely carry the team. She carried. And everything she did was entertaining. She was hilarious. She smack talked. Oh my gosh, we didn't talk about her smack talking about the guy's mom.
My God.
She is a delight. That's perfection. I loved her in this book. So yeah, Donut MVP for me, easy. Not even, I knew the moment I was like, oh, who's the MVP? Oh, it's obviously Donut. And I just had to think. I was basically deciding between Carl and Lena for runner-up, but Donut hands down had it.
I love the scene where you brought it up, like talking to, I think it's Epitome Tag, right?
I think so, yeah.
Whichever one it is, where the elf and the mom, change your name, and it's like, oh, I can't change it back.
And was that true? I don't even know. I don't know if it was true.
It was hilarious. Okay, so Robbie, you said you're not doing Donut.
Yes, I think the correct answer is Donut, but I decided to go off the beaten path and go with Lee Jun for almost the same reason, right? Like Lee Jun protects Donut, and in doing so protects everybody, sacrifices himself. So I think giving the ultimate sacrifice, decided to choose Lee Jun.
Great call out.
Really good. Yeah, he was nice.
So I also picked Donut because I believe that she did all the things. She earned her best crawler in history chops. She was incredible in the sniper role, and she made several very difficult calls in stride. And I love the fact that we got the heart to follow it up, where she questioned whether or not she did the right thing, whether or not people would be upset with her. So with the heart to back it up, I have to give it to Donut. I feel like there were a lot of really big fights in this book, but the biggest fight, they would have been lost without Donut.
Yeah, without a doubt.
So when I look at our stats from last week, we did one-offs for every single one. So it's pretty straightforward. It is donut for the whole book.
Do you know who the runner-up is?
No, because they're all one.
Carl didn't get chosen at all?
Wait, who are our MVPs? It was Mordecai or Porthos. Right. So they each have 2.
Okay.
And Lee June has 2.
Okay.
So we have a 3-way tie for runner-up.
Okay. That's so funny. And Carl's nowhere near. And which is funny because he also was talking about how he wasn't leveling as much as everybody else and that he was falling behind. And the fact that he didn't make our MVP list kind of reflects that in a way.
He's kind of the mastermind behind it all, but it didn't feel like he personally did as much as these other characters.
For sure. Not this time.
And I feel like that's a really noticeable trend, Carl, from the early books, doing all the things versus where we are now.
Yeah.
And I for one like it because it showcases the capabilities of everybody else.
Right. And just character growth. Character development is probably my favorite part of any book. Mm-hmm. It's the reason I love the Wheel of Time. The character, you have 14 books of the characters growing. I think it's kind of the same with this book for me. Is the characters build and you get new characters every once in a while, but the development of the characters is top notch.
Without a doubt. Okay, well I think that's it, right? Thank you so much for joining us, Robbie. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome. Appreciate it.
Okay, to the outro. Thank you so much for tuning in to our 14th episode of Season 7 of But Are There Dragons? For next time, read through Chapter 57 of Dungeon Crawler Carl, Book 8, A Parade of Horribles. That episode will be dropping on September 1st, and I'm so excited! Anyways, But Are There Dragons is brought to you by your host, Jessica Sadai and Kritter XD. That's me. Don't forget to follow us at But Are There Dragons on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, and But Dragons Pod, just 1 T on X. You can also find your hosts on social media as Kritter XD and Shelf Indulgence. That's it for today. New achievement! You're caught up. Almost. Reward? You finally get to start the most recent Dungeon Crawler Carl book and see what everyone has been talking about. Bye!
Bye!